Voyager spacecraft are bound for the stars. They're on steep trajectories from the solar system, barreling along at almost 1 million miles a day. The gravitational fields of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune have flung them at such high speed that they've broken the bonds that once tied them to the sun. Have they left the solar system yet? The answer depends very much on how you define the boundary of the sun's realm. If you define the outer walls of the solar system as the healing force, where huge planetary particles in the magnetic fields are replaced by their interstellar counterparts, then neither Voyager had yet left the solar system, but will repeat itself in the next few decades. But if your definition of the edge of the solar system is the distance at which our star can no longer hold the world in orbit around it, then Voyager will not leave the solar system for hundreds of centuries. It will rest by the sun's gravity in every direction of the sky, in that immense hoard of a trillion tons of more before it cloud. The two Voyager spacecraft will finish their passage through the lunar in another 20,000 years or so. Then at last, completing their run of the bodies of the solar system, broken free of the gravitational shackles that once bound them to the sun, the Voyagers will make for the open sea of interstellar space. Only then will phase 2 of their mission begin. Their radio transmitter is long dead. The spacecraft will wander for ages in a calm, cold, interstellar blackness, where there is almost nothing to elude them. Once out of the solar system, they will remain intact for 1 billion years or more, as they circle in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We do not know whether there are other spacefaring civilizations in the Milky Way. If they do exist, we don't know how abundant they are, much less where they are. But there is at least a chance that sometime in the remote future, one of the Voyagers will be intercepted and examined by an alien craft. Accordingly, as each Voyager left Earth from the planets and the stars, it carried with it a golden phonograph record encased in a golden mirrored jet, containing, among other things, 359 millimeters and 1 lyrical language. A 12-minute sound essay, including a kiss of a beat's cry, and an EEG record of the meditations of a young woman in love. 116 encoded pictures on our science, our civilization, and ourselves. And 90 minutes of the Earth's greatest hits. Eastern and Western, classical and folk, including a fellow legend, a Japanese shakuhachi piece, a pagan girl initiation song, a Korean wedding song, a 3,000-year-old composition for the Jew called Flowing Streams, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Stravinsky, Louis Armstrong, Warren Louis Johnson, and Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. Space is nearly empty, with virtually no chance that one of the Voyagers will ever enter the solar system. And this is true, even if every star in the sky is accompanied by planets. The instructions on the record jackets, written in what we believe to be readily comprehensible scientific hieroglyphics, can be read, and the contents of the records understood. Only if alien beings somewhere in the remote future find the Voyager in the depths of interstellar space. Since both Voyagers will circle the sun of the Milky Way galaxy essentially forever, there's plenty of time for the records to be found. If there's anyone out there to even find them. We can't know how much of the records they would understand. Surely the readings would be incomprehensible but their intent may not be. We thought it would be impolite not to say hello. The hypothetical aliens are bound to be very different from us, since their youth and new involvement in the world. Are we really sure they can understand anything at all of our message? Every time I feel these concerns stirring, though, I reassure myself. Whatever the incomprehensibilities of the Voyager record, any alien ship that finds it will have an understanding by which to judge us, because each Voyager is itself a message. In their exploratory intent, in the lofty ambition of their objectives, in their overlapping intent to be one, and the improvements of their design and performance, these robots speak eloquently for us. But we're much more advanced scientists and engineers than we, otherwise they'd never be able to find and retrieve this silent spacecraft into cyberspace. Perhaps the aliens would have no difficulty understanding what's included on these broken records. Perhaps they would recognize the tentativeness of our society, the mismatch between our technology and our wisdom. And we destroyed ourselves since the mention of Voyager and I wonder, or have we gone on to greater things? Or perhaps the records will never be intercepted. Perhaps no more than 5 billion years will ever come upon them. 5 billion years is a long time. In 5 billion years, all humans will have become extinct or evolved into other dimensions. None of our artifacts will have survived on Earth. The continents will have become unrecognizably altered or destroyed. And the evolution of the sun will have burned the Earth to a crisp, or reduced it to a world of atoms. And far from them, untouched by these new events, the Voyagers, bearing memories of a world that is no more, will fly on,